Ahoy, Voyagers, and welcome back to the channel. This is Captain Amelia speaking for HY Voyagers, and today we're going to talk about personal branding on Twitter and how tweeting can improve your personal brand. And just a quick overview of what we're going to cover. We're going to cover on how you can get educated using Twitter. We're going to introduce you to some topics about how to utilize Twitter to find work. And we're also going to talk about how you can use Twitter to showcase your crazy fun life in Canada. All right. And just a reminder about our mission statement here at HY Voyagers. We want to reinvent how Voyagers, our international students and immigrants, get educated, find work, and live a crazy fun life here in Canada. And Twitter is a great tool to accent all three of these mission statements for us. All righty, we're going to dive right into how you can use Twitter to get educated. First off, we're going to talk about what Twitter is and how you can use it. Well, Twitter is a social media platform that revolves around microblogging, which is essentially posting things that are under 140 characters. So here you would make little snippet, either comment statements or link things, stuff like that, which we'll get in a little more detail about. It can also be used to stay up to date with companies, celebrities, your community, or like-minded individuals through following and interacting with them through Twitter. You can also share links, photos, video clips, GIFs, and much more on this platform. It has a very simple, easy to use interface where you can connect other social medias through Twitter as well, like Facebook and Instagram. All those types of things you can utilize on your Twitter account. And it helps you stay up to date with relevant news, sports, entertainment, and more. And they also have a nice trending section where they can show you what's been trending, what people are talking about, and what is popular right now, which is a great way to stay informed in your field or for your business or for your personal brand. And how do we use Twitter to stay relevant? As I mentioned, you can look up different topics and things like that on the Explore tab. So when you register and sign up, there's a very easy to see little drop menu on the left-hand side. You'll see the hashtag Explore tab where you can type in anything you want to look at based on keywords, or you can go to their events tab, current news tab, trending tab, and things like that. Here, you can also search for the top influencers in your field of interest and keeps you in the loop about relevant trends and content that they might be creating that you might be interested in looking at or reading or researching and a little bit more. And Twitter has this algorithm that the more you use it, the more relevant content you'll create, that you'll get on and see. So when you look up things, it'll take that into account and see who you're following, people who might be similar, and they'll show that onto your feed as well, which is a great way to stay relevant and up to date and get in the conversations that you want to be in. So you can expand your network through your personal branding. And as I mentioned, it is very easy to use interface, and it also is compatible with not just your computer, but your smart device or cell phone. And it's a great way to use this social media on the go. It also has over 396 million users, making networking and personal branding very useful over this platform. The more people you reach, the more exposure you get. And the more exposure, the more networks you build, and the more opportunities funnel in for you. They also have a feature where you can do polls, data collection on their little micro blogs, as well as you can create content schedule releases. So if you don't want to spit out all your creativity content in one shot, you can time it to set off for other people that are on your connections or following you. All right, so that's some ways to get educated using Twitter. Now we're going to dive into how we can use this platform to find work for you. And I talked a little bit about networking, but first, you always want to make sure you optimize your profile and make your brand stand out. You want to be the personal brand 3D model of you so people understand who you are, what your morals and beliefs are, things like that. So always start by trying to get a good profile picture, cover photo, edit that about section, add relevant websites, maybe your LinkedIn profile, which you can definitely share on Twitter, where you're from, and much more. So you want to make sure you optimize this to get the best outreach possible. Gives you many options in this profile to reflect your brand, but it's very simply laid out and easy to find. You want to go through and look at those following you. You want to use mentioning and commenting on other content. You want to grab attention from professionals, and you can do that by tagging them so they might read it. You can message them, things like that. I love the @ option because you do not necessarily have to be friends or follow them to @tag them. So anyone who uses this platform could tag you or tag someone else. And that way you can see what people are saying. And you want to try to share and expand on those brands that you like and you think are good, and it helps build your personal brand. And you want to expand your network, as I mentioned. By networking, you can get better opportunities, job opportunities, and things like that, which we'll talk a little bit more about in a couple slides. And always remember to create and share your own content. This helps you stand out as an individual and a personal brand. So make sure you don't forget to share your own content, things that are happening in your life, all that kind of stuff. You really want to use it kind of like how you use Instagram or Facebook, and Twitter is a nice way to kind of encapsulate that in a snapshot method. All right, so now we're going to move topics onto networking and the benefits to Twitter. I talk about networking a little bit here. So as I mentioned, there's over 396 million users around the globe. So Twitter can be a great way to network with individuals around the world, not just where you're from. You can even make personal friends and meet a partner even. I have known individuals who I've made friends with over Twitter, and they met through Twitter as well, and they actually became married, which is interesting. So you never want to think networking over the internet is that sketchy or bad. Sometimes you never know what happens. It's a useful tool for you as a person as well as a professional. Many large companies and CEOs use Twitter. They like to use that as a quick way to stay relevant and make sure they look a little more transparent. And often businesses, their employees feel they're more trustworthy when these individuals are more transparent through these types of social medias, which is really good for their personal brand. So you can see how that can influence your personal brand as well. You also have many certified companies and influencers on the Twitter platform, and exposure can be great and make new connections can be easier when you utilize those individuals that are very high up and influential, tagging them, as I mentioned, and things like that. You can get some more exposure because those following them can read your content as well. They also have a certification on Twitter that'll allow you to know if that is the actual person, that influencer, or if someone's trying to fake it. It happens on the internet. People try to be people they're not. That's why when you're building a personal professional brand, you got to be authentic and real so people can understand that it's truly you and not someone trying to be someone they're not. So authenticity is very important. And the more you network on social media, always the more opportunities will arise in your career. The more people you know, the more opportunities will come flowing in for you. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about researching on Twitter. So doing your research on Twitter is very streamlined and simple. As I mentioned, on that Explore tab, you can search topics of interest by keyword, or you can do so using hashtags, which I'll talk a little bit more about in a few slides. But you always have to remember the internet is the internet and not everyone is credible. So when you're looking for content through Twitter, make sure you click on links and articles that may be connected to that little statement. And often the statement people share is either an opinion or a quick summary of what the article's about. You want to dive in a little deeper, never take things at a surface level with Twitter. You really want to make sure you're getting credible sources for any information. So make sure you look for those little credible little blue icons. That also helps when you're doing research that you know it's a credible source. All right, and some quick important things to remember and to know. Everything you post online is visible to others, and therefore you need to think before you post. Twitter is a short microblogging, so keep content short and sweet. You want to define your niche and expertise on Twitter. Since it's very microblog and short form social media, you want to make sure people understand what you're standing for, what your mission is, what your key messages are. What do you stand for? You want people to be able to understand why they're following you and why they would want to follow you as a personal brand or a professional. You want to make sure you're engaged and are enjoying and joining conversations about topics you find important. You want to use those at messages. You want to respond to questions. You want to respond to tweets. You want to retweet things. You want to start engaging, because the more you're active, the more people will see you on Twitter. And as always, be authentic. Be you, so people know you in a more of a 3D aspect, and they can feel like they can trust you more, and then you can expand your network and you stand out as a personal brand. And just a quick little thing about signing up. I mentioned when you sign up for Twitter, this is the page you'll probably get. You can log in using your Google account if you have one. You can also log in with your Apple ID, which some people have if they're an Apple user. And you can also do it the old-fashioned way using your email address. The prompts are very simple, straightforward, and laid out for you. So I don't think you'll have any problems here. They do have a really good help service if you have issues, but it is very simply laid out. All right, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about research a little more in depth about researching job opportunities. So using Twitter is a great way to find a job. Often a lot of postings are made on Twitter with a link to the application. So you want to use the search engine and hashtags to follow relevant content. So doing so, you would go into that explore bar, you would go into that search bar and put a hashtag, example, hiring, job opportunities, openings, job fair. That'll bring relevant hashtag content that others share to you, and they'll show up on your feed. So if you're looking for a job or looking for openings and you follow those tags, you will get that content given to you. It is a great way to kind of scour those job opportunities. There's also building professional network on Twitter, as I mentioned always, and that gives you opportunities. If you start talking with professionals, they might offer you positions. That's always something that could happen. So never sell yourself short. You want to be confident, authentic in your personal brand, and then people will want you to come on board with them. Twitter also has a professional Twitter account that you can create. In your settings after, you can ask to do a professional or a company account. Here, you can unlock some tools to enhance your professional branding through Twitter and help you land those jobs. So depending on what your interest is, if you're just trying Twitter for the first time, you can do a personal account. If you really want to use it as a professional account, they now have this new feature. And last but not least, we're going to talk about how we can use Twitter to live a crazy fun life here in Canada. You always want to use your social media, especially Twitter, to showcase your personality. You might be using it for a serious thing because you really want to be a professional, but always personalize things. Share content that aligns with your values, morals, and beliefs. Maybe you are really into animal rescue, and that's not quite what you want to do as a business. However, you want to show those aspects of you. They really show those soft skills and those other types of skills that employers are looking for, like teamwork and community involvement, all those types of things. So make sure you send that message out when you're doing your personal branding on Twitter. You also might want to follow some local accounts to get updates on events in your community and stay engaged with your community, as well as the community at large across the globe. As I mentioned, share content, especially maybe from businesses you support or partners with or are very passionate about, that really shows that you care and it shows your personality 3D wise. You're not always your qualifications and education. You have a whole personality. Show it off. Be you. Be authentic. Be yourself. Twitter is also a great way to build community. We have a community as well, so I really suggest that you take a look at our Twitter. This is where we can feed new content through our Instagram, Facebook, articles, blogs, things like that we're creating. We'd love for you to stay up to date with them. And through interacting with others' posts, either ours or others, use your mentions on Twitter, you can build yourself a very nice community and algorithm of like-minded individuals that really understand you and what you want to do with your professional career. These can blossom into real life relationships, friendships, business partners, all these types of things. You really got to start thinking big picture. You use your personal brand to entice people to want to know you, expand your network, and really land those opportunities. It can also be hard sometimes, and it's a little bit of work, but it's worth it in the long run. You really can utilize Twitter to its full potential. Thank you so much for listening to HY Voyagers today. I really want to ask if you could please follow us on our Twitter, as I gave that before. Also follow us here, hit that like, subscribe, and bell button. And if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please leave a comment below. We'd love to hear from you, our Voyagers out there. If you want to contact us directly, please do so at our captains@hyvoyagers.com email address. And also go on our hyvoyagers.com website to see all the types of services we offer and are willing to assist you with. Again, thank you so much for stopping by Voyagers page today, and have a wonderful rest of your day, guys. Bon voyage, Voyagers!